Hello friends, happy Friday. As you can see, we have a fancy mic in front of me. It took me an hour this morning to figure out how to even record audio with it. So I hope it works. Let me know what you think about the audio. Today we are going to talk about Skillshare. I had a Skillshare subscription for a year and it had just expired a couple weeks ago. I used it mostly for art videos, some social media and productivity videos, and I think I took a couple music lessons as well. But I want to tell you about my experience so that you can make a decision for yourself as to whether or not this is something you might want to purchase or could help you. Real quick before we start, I wanted to announce to you guys that I finally have art prints up on the shop. I've been wanting to do art prints for about a year and a half now, and I'm really excited to have them up there. It has been sort of slow going getting into it, as my customer base is not really used to art prints. They're used to the vinyl records. So if you're interested, there are art prints up on the shop. I just wanted to share that with you. And as always, you can follow me on social media at Toxic Vinyl Co. on TikTok and Instagram, and my shop is on Etsy. I'll put all of the links below. Okay, let's get started. Let's talk about Skillshare. I want to say that this video is not super structured. I'm just going to have a conversation about it, and my tidbits about what I like and don't like are going to be mixed in here. I'm not going to give you guys an exact list and timestamps today and whatnot. It's not going to be a super long video, so just listen through if you're interested in how I feel about it from the artist side of things and whether or not it's worth the money to you. So I got a subscription to Skillshare on January 8th of 2021, and I got it what was originally meant to be one of the 2-month free trials that you can get when you click on people's YouTube videos. And I should say in that same vein that this is not sponsored, although I'd love to be sponsored. When you click on the people who are sponsored by Skillshare, you usually get a 2-month free trial. I went and tried this with 5 or 6 different creators, and the trials were never available. I started my own trial, and then when the trial expired, they were like, oh, if you stay, we'll give you a discount or whatever, and so I did. And I ended up spending, I think the original was $100. I might have spent $70 or $80 on the year-long subscription, which I was very hesitant about at the time because I was afraid that I would never use it. And once again, let me state that this is coming from an art side of things, the way that I was using Skillshare. I know that it seems to be a platform of primarily art and social media and productivity related videos. There's honestly not a whole lot else I could find that I was interested in. There might be some writing stuff. If you use other classes on Skillshare that aren't in those categories, please let me know in the comments. So I started this free trial, and obviously I started learning right away. I found some videos I liked. I was logging my hours in the beginning so that when I made this video someday I could tell you guys exactly how many hours I spent on everything, but I stopped doing that pretty quickly because Skillshare actually logs it for you. And I didn't want to bother trying to keep it. I knew I'd lose it a year later, and I have. Let's cover real quick sort of what is Skillshare, just from my perspective as a user compared to something like YouTube. Skillshare and YouTube are very similar. I'll tell you what the differences are. Skillshare is a little more refined in its setup of videos. If you were to try to find the quality of a Skillshare video on YouTube, you would probably be searching through a couple different videos to find one, because they do have a higher requirement for what your videos look like going in. You also cannot do the same kind of self-promo or things that we can do in YouTube videos. There are a lot of sort of requirements about what your chapters look like. It's all about the lesson of what you're teaching. There's an introduction, there's a class project, there is, each individual lesson is set up in a very specific way. And another difference is that users can comment on specific discussions or lessons within a chapter. So if you're watching through a video, a comment will pop up in the middle of a chapter exactly where someone had a question, which I think was kind of cool. That's not really something you can do on YouTube. Back when I started my membership, YouTube was $100 a year. Nope, wrong platform. Back when I started my membership, Skillshare was $100 a year, and after using it for a year, I will say that it's pretty close to me as to whether or not that investment ends up being worth it. I will say that I took one class that was a How to Use Procreate class. It was so well done. I'll link it if I can find it. And I took it 3 different times because I kept forgetting what the information was. But I would have almost paid $100 just for that class. It was so good. I learned so much. As someone who uses my iPad for my business but is not a digital artist, I learned so many tricks in that class, and that is what I got the most out of with my time on Skillshare. But otherwise, I find that because I'm on YouTube so often anyway, I'm just not clicking on Skillshare videos. Like, I'm not clicking on the website in general, even though it's saved next to YouTube and my bookmarks bar on my computer. I just didn't gravitate towards it. I would almost rather plow through different YouTube videos until I found a creator with good information, but it's totally free, than to pay for the membership. I couldn't always find what I wanted immediately. And this is where I got a little frustrated. So I thought, you know what, I'm paying all this money for a platform. Why don't I try to learn something that I've always been interested in learning or continue learning that isn't art? And, you know, Skillshare is marketed as like classes you can take. So I took a little bit of euphonium and violin lessons in college, and I was like, let me take some music classes. Like, this is the perfect time to take some music classes and continue learning an instrument. There are none. Guitar and piano, the only options you can learn on Skillshare. And I recognize that you probably didn't come to this video to figure out what instruments you can learn, but I was bummed because they have music lessons. Like, music is a category on Skillshare, but they have no one teaching any instrument that isn't guitar or piano. Like, it's the perfect opportunity to learn like beginner trumpet or whatever, things for adults who don't pick up new skills or new hobbies as much as children do for fun. Like, I would have really loved seeing some kind of lessons that were still in the arts, but that weren't like just how to draw, how to watercolor, how to illustrate, how to get social media followers. Like, it felt like it was also within one niche, and I was like, if I'm paying this much money for this, I want other options. If you're watching this and you teach a musical instrument, you should consider making a Skillshare class. Because, yeah, I would take it. So that was really my biggest complaint, is that while I liked the videos I could watch within my niche, there wasn't much else to do. And when I got bored of the same watercolor videos over and over again, I would just go back to YouTube to find different kinds of videos. If you're anything like me, most likely if you're watching this video right now, you're someone that watches sort of passively on YouTube. And a big difference between YouTube and Skillshare is the active versus passive sort of paying attention. While it's great that Skillshare offers you like class projects, things you can actually take part in and have active participation, I think nowadays a lot of us put YouTube on in the background while we're working. If you're in my community, you might, paint while you have YouTube sort of on the side, and I'm not actively participating in it always, but I am gaining information. Skillshare is the kind of thing you actively participate in. It's the kind of thing where you want to sit down if you are ready to focus and take a class, just like going to school. And that's great in a lot of ways, but that is the biggest difference between it and YouTube. Not only the kinds of information you have videos on, where there's way more on YouTube, but the ability to passively or actively participate is just a little bit different on the two platforms. So I did really enjoy my time on Skillshare, but I don't think that I got enough out of it to renew the $100 a year. And so when I went in to cancel it, which is super easy, you just go into your account and billing information. I do appreciate how easy it is to start and stop when things are online now. I went in, I canceled it, and then of course as soon as I canceled it, I got a notification that was like, you can have 60% off your next year if you don't leave. And I was like, 60% off, that's $40. Like, yeah, I would keep it up for $40. Except it's not, because Skillshare now costs $170 a year, approximately. If you're watching this and you're from Skillshare, I'm sure that number is slightly wonked, but it's somewhere around there. And 60% off means it still costs more than it did before. So I chose not to renew the Skillshare membership. I am interested in having Skillshare classes offered someday. I think that it's a wonderful opportunity for some income for small business and artists who have the kind of information to share and the ability to create high quality videos, which I think I do. So I'm in no way trying to bash Skillshare. I think that it's a wonderful platform. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's well done. The videos on there are beautiful. They're well made. They're interesting. They're captivating. But the price increase is just too much for me. And I think a lot of the people who are interested in Skillshare are people who are already making the income of small businesses or artists, and to almost double the price, it's just, I can't justify it when YouTube exists. And I think that will always be the biggest competition, is those two, but it's really difficult to justify the price when there's a free version that might just take me a little bit longer to find the same information. I probably will get on Skillshare again someday, depending on how their prices change. I enjoyed it, and I do really miss college. I miss school, and I miss learning, and so Skillshare offers me a little bit of that feeling back, like I'm going to class and I'm learning, and there's other students who are doing the same thing, and I do enjoy that. If I can afford it in the future, I probably will return to Skillshare, or if Skillshare ever offers a sponsorship of some kind, I would absolutely take part in that. It's a platform I recommend if it's within your budget, which is what I should have started with. I think it has a lot to offer, and I think if you can afford it, then you should. But if it is outside of your budget, you shouldn't push yourself to afford it, because you can find similar resources in other places. So to round up the information in this video, I think that it was worth it for me to try for a year at the cost that it was when I tried it. I think it's gotten a little expensive. I think it is well made and good information, but it takes a different kind of energy and interest, and I think it doesn't have quite the amount of variety of videos that it should have based on what it claims to be doing. None of those are reasons not to do it. There is some amazing content and some really cool things in there that I had not found in other places, and so if you are an artist or a small business person, I do think that's sort of who it's geared towards, and what the content is for. Although, like I said, you can let me know if you use it for other things. I never found or was recommended videos outside of art, social media, or productivity. The site just never even gave them to me. And I did a little bit of exploring, but like I said, I looked up musical instruments and not a whole lot. So I didn't find a ton outside of the sort of realm of artsy things that is there. I hope this wasn't too unorganized of a video. Sometimes I structure my videos really well, and sometimes I just want to talk and give you information. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for being here. Have a lovely Friday, and I will see you all next week.